Welcome to Harpers Ferry.
Situated in a gap at the confluence of the Shenandoah and Potomac rivers, Harpers Ferry was a natural avenue of transportation. The first mode of travel consisted of a primitive ferry established in 1733 by Peter Stevens and sold to Robert Harper in 1747. Harpers Ferry was a strategic point in the Civil War. It became a U.S. national monument in 1944 and a national park in 1963. St. Peter's Roman Catholic Church occupies a prominent location above Harpers Ferry. The original church was built in 1833. It is the only church in Harpers Ferry not destroyed during the Civil War. In 1803, Meriwether Lewis was in Harpers Ferry for supplies for the Lewis and Clark expedition. Lewis spent much of his time designing and building this boat for the expedition. It floated but leaked, so it was never used. One of Captain Clark's journals of the expedition. The muskets were the most important supplies carried as they provided food and protection. In 1859, the abolitionist John Brown led a group in a raid and captured several buildings in Harpers Ferry. He was hoping to secure the weapons depot and arm the slaves, starting a revolt across the South. Brown's men were quickly pinned down by local citizens and militia, and forced to take refuge in this fire engine house. Marines and Army, led by Lieutenant Colonel Robert E. Lee, captured Brown. He was tried and hanged. This was one of the calling cries to the U.S. Civil War. This is where the firehouse originally stood. I disturbed this black snake here at Carderock State Park. It is easily accessible and it is a pleasant place to climb as the park is situated on the Maryland side of the Potomac River. This is a top rope solo of Fingernail, a 510B. The name fits as the crux holds are tiny. Located directly across from the U.S. Armory, the Whitehall Tavern was an 1850s community gathering place where males debated politics and discussed local events. The tavern's close proximity easily tempted armory workers to raise a glass, or two or three, before and during work. Storer College was a historically black college. Sometimes white students studied alongside black students, which was prohibited in West Virginia. The first American meeting of the predecessor of the NAACP, the Niagara Movement, was held at Storer College in 1906. The Baltimore and Ohio Railroad stations were known for their distinctive style and red and brown color scheme. This station was opened in 1894. This is my nephew Roman climbing Walk the Line, a 5.5 at Shaffer Rocks, Pennsylvania. Even though he was just finishing the 8th grade, his feet were too big for any climbing shoes that I could borrow, so he had to wear his swimming shoes. The rock was wet and slippery, and he still climbed to the top. My child Kel on Grungy, a 5.3 at Shaffer Rocks. Kel had not climbed in a long time, yet they were able to climb relaxed enough to say hello. Maybe too relaxed as they just hit their head. I should have put a helmet on them, as that has happened to me a lot. Kel on Blazing Saddles, a 5.6 at Shaffer Rocks. I was very pleased watching Kel easily traverse to the right and how in control they were in finding the sequence needed to progress upward. I enjoy watching others in their challenges as much as I like to climb myself. St. Mary's City is a historic interpretation area honoring Maryland's first settlement and original capital. It has several living history museums, and the entire complex is staffed by period-dressed actors who recreate history theatrically. This is a working replica of the Dove sailing ship, which was one of the two original settlers' ships. Settlers arrived in what is now Maryland in March 1634. They made their first permanent settlement in what is now St. Mary's County, Maryland, choosing to settle on a bluff overlooking the St. Mary's River. The site had been occupied by the Yacomico branch of the Piscataway, who had abandoned it as being vulnerable to attack. The chief sold 30 miles of land to the English newcomers. He wanted to develop them as allies and trading partners. For many years, the natives and the English settlers coexisted peacefully. The group was a mix of Catholics and Protestants during a time of religious persecution of Catholics in the British Isles. Lord Baltimore specified in 1630 that the new governor and all the settlers were to practice religious tolerance. Later this would become law and would be the first law of religious freedom in America. I am lead rope soloing a 5/8 named I Love Big Jugs at Talking Head Wall, Elizabeth Furnace, Virginia. It was steeper and a few holds were smaller than I was hoping. I was glad to reach the anchors. A fun zip line at Antietam Recreational Park. I have never seen a slide like this before. It was a little bumpy at the end. Kel climbing with confidence on TR Warrior Right, a 5/6 at Pickens Nose, North Carolina. When you arrive at the top, don't forget to enjoy the view. Kel showed me how to climb it, so I was able to climb it without a rope. This, of course, is not recommended at all. I was lucky to spend the day at Dollywood with Kel and my grandchildren. Some of the performers were Dolly Parton's kin.
We're ready to go on the fastest wooden roller coaster in the world.
This is Lost Religion at Shaffer Rocks, Pennsylvania. At 511D, it is the hardest rock climb I've ever climbed. A powerful undercling, a reachy lunge. Finding this hill hook allowed me to have the strength for the final moves. After 5 different days over 3 months, I was finally able to climb it free. Keep learning and having fun. See ya.